Dr. Nahrumaifi Haidar Choudhury is going to present to us. I'm really excited about her presentation and waiting for that.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. I am Dr. Nahrumaifi Haidar Choudhury, working as an assistant professor in pediatric cardiology department of National Heart Foundation. Sir, today I am honored and privileged by IPDI and especially Sir Wadar sir and Mohsin sir that they allow me to give a presentation on a task that is approach to adult cyanotic congenital heart disease. I am going to tell something. This is the summation of today's all presentation. Those who missed the explanation why these things happens, I am just sum up this session. And just I want to tell that adult cyanotic heart disease, there is few cases who survive in adult period. And the presentation is a typical presentation is there. Finding is minimum. So examinee, they present the cases with few minutes within 5 minutes. So examiner get a lot of time to ask or cross the student. And if they defend nicely, that Wadar sir tells that the examination there is something wrong, but he crossed such a nice way that we are all of us, we tell that bravo, good, very good, we passed you, and now we are waiting to give you honors mark. So those things that it should be discussed. If you miss now, also recorded class, please take it. Usually adult cyanotic congenital heart disease is a tetralogy of Fallot, and there is variant of tetralogy of Fallot. What are these variants? Pulmonary atresia, pulmonary stenosis with ASD, though this is not a typical top physiology, but PS and ASD right to left shunt, this group also came with the cyanosis, top with slide সামনে yes.
Help করুন।
And that is another group, Eisenmenger syndrome, that is also given to our long case as a long case, that also present with cyanosis. And a few cases that we got in Epstein anomaly that have bimodal presentation. It can present at neonatal period. Also, it has a late presentation. We can get this patient, this group in adult period, and sometimes common atrium where there is mixing at atrial level and can produce cyanosis. And sometimes operated congenital heart disease, like this case, if we surgery do ballaloc shunt and this patient is waiting for total correction, this group of patient also we can get for the long case. So before the going to presentation, we must know the hemodynamics. If you are clear about that, then you can defend yourself. What is the normal hemodynamics? The systemic venous return, which is coming to the right atrium, then to right ventricle, and this systemic venous return is called QEP, that is effective pulmonary flow. Why this is effective pulmonary flow? Because this deoxygenated blood has to go to lung for oxygenation. So we label is effective pulmonary flow. When it enter into the pulmonary artery, we tell it QP, means pulmonary flow. Now it enter into the, so when there is no shunt at atrial level, ventricular level or great artery level, then the systemic venous return is equal to QEP, means effective pulmonary flow, and that is equal to total pulmonary flow. This amount of pulmonary flow now enter into the lung after the oxygenation into the lung. And this is a pulmonary venous return, which now coming to the LV, and this is called QES. That means effective systemic flow. This oxygenated blood has to be supplied to the body through aorta, and now through the aorta it is labeled as QS. As like before, if there is no shunt, then the pulmonary venous return is equal to effective systemic flow is equal to systemic flow. So if we give an example that 5 liters is coming to the right atrium, then it traveling to right ventricle, then it is going to through pulmonary artery to the lung and coming back to the left atrium and to the LV and going back to the systemic circulation. All through the same amount of blood is traveling. So here our QP is QS. So the ratio is 1, and this is our cardiac output. Now, what happened in tetralogy of Fallot? We know the anatomical obstruction is there, pulmonary stenosis is there. So there is RV hypertrophy and there is unrestricted large PSD. Due to RV pressure high, there is right to left shunt or bidirectional shunt. This is the physiology of tetralogy of Fallot. What happened here? If we see the 5 liter is coming to right atrium, then it is going to right ventricle, and now there is right to left shunt. If we think there is right to left shunt 2 liter, then now how much amount of blood is coming to the pulmonary artery? 5 liter minus 2 liter is 3 liter. So pulmonary flow, what happened? The amount is reduced. So this is pulmonary flow is reduced. This 3 liter is coming to left atrium. Now what will happen? This 3 liter will add with 2 liter. And now this 5 liter is coming to the systemic flow. So if we check that Q is 5 liter and QP is 3 liter. So QP is reduced and QP is less than QS. So I think all are clear about this tetralogic physiology where pulmonary is reduced and pulmonary pressure is normal or less than normal. Now what happened in Eisenmenger physiology? We know initially there is left to right shunt. Like if there is a ASD, BSD or PDA, if we give an example of PDA, there is left to right shunt. So now what will happen to QP? It will increase. It will increase and it will increase the PA pressure. And the PVR will increase day by day when the patient will stay, and in a adulthood, what will happen? The PVR will be high. Initially, there will be bidirectional, then it will be right to left shunt. There also, now when there is obstructive disease happen, pulmonary flow is reduced. But in that scenario, PA pressure is high. It is the difference between the top that PA pressure is low. But in case of Eisenmenger physiology, the PA pressure is high and there is right to left shunt, so patient is cyanotic. So what is the basic physiological difference of these two groups? Top is the anatomical obstruction leading to reduced pulmonary blood flow, and the pulmonary artery pressure are normal or less than normal. And what happens in Eisenmenger? Here the high pulmonary vascular resistance leading to reduced pulmonary blood flow and the pulmonary artery pressure are severely elevated. So these are the total two different scenarios, but presenting with the cyanosis in adult life. Now, what is the TOP or VSD with PS physiology? We know that TOP and VSD PS, that is the echo diagnosis, but the physiology is the same. These are the first, sir was asking, Khalikujan sir was asking what are the TOP physiology, what are the other differential diagnoses. So first we can differentiate this patient tetralogy of Fallot. What are the other cause? Double outlet right ventricle with VSD with pulmonary stenosis, single ventricle with PS physiology. These are can present, but these are the rarer case. Tricuspid atresia with PS, DTGA VSD with PS, corrected TGA with PS, VSD PS, and sometimes AV canal defect with PS. These groups are rarely present. The survival rate is less here. So this is the question that is also asked in the examiner when the cyanosis start. That our patient we get that from the 19 years, 1 year of age, the patient presented. So the severity depends. If there is more severe, it will present more early. So in first week, DTGA, if there is less shunt, intake IVS means no VSD, the patient present too early. If hypoplastic left heart and right heart, that is not found in adult life because it died very early. Tricuspid atresia with critical stenosis or mitral atresia or aortic valve atresia, these group also we don't find because they die too early. And severe form of TOP or pulmonary atresia, they present in the first week. So TOP also can present in first week of life. Obstructive TAPVC can present first year. Truncus arteriosus and Epstein anomaly. These are the scenario that present in the first week. And after the first week to 1 month, this hypoplastic left heart syndrome can present. DTGA, TOP, severe PS with ASD or PFO can also present. Truncus arteriosus. So these are the commonly asked question. And late onset of cyanosis, what is that is also TOP. Then VSD pulmonary stenosis with DTGA, this is less likely found. VSD PS with tricuspid atresia, that is also less likely found. But this group of patients present with late onset of cyanosis. So underlying cyanotic congenital heart disease in adult, the common defect with expected survival. যেটা আমরা ভাই যে এই গ্রুপে কোন গ্রুপটা আসবে. One, tetralogy of Fallot. Second is Eisenmenger syndrome. an uncommon defect with expected survival. Sometimes this patient also can survive, like Epstein anomaly. And this is the serious defect in which adult survival is exceptional. This is total anomaly, pulmonary venous return unobstructed. I will tell the student, don't keep your mind closed, because this group of patients, that one patient came to me with that ASD bidirectional shunt with severe pulmonary hypertension came to me, pulmonary hypertension clinic. When I got the ECG, I found that figure of 8. And I diagnosed this is a case of TAPBC. So unobstructed TAPBC can also, and at 24 years, we operated that young lady. So that also can come in adult congenital cyanotic heart disease. Double outlet right ventricle, corrected TGA, single ventricle, truncus arteriosus, tricuspid atresia, all can come. So how to assess the congenital heart disease? We have to be meticulous with the history, examination, and the investigation that is available in our hand. Now, first, the symptom of reduced pulmonary blood flow is cyanosis. We have to take when the cyanosis first come, then how was the onset? Is it gradual progression? Is the slow onset? Is there history of spell attack? Is the patient is going squatting or equivalents? We have to take all the history. And usually, clinically detectable saturation is, if it is more than 85%, clinically it is tough for us, but if less than 85%, we can identify. And if deoxygenating hemoglobin is 5 gram %, that is also tough. Sometimes it is asked in the exam that if the patient is having anemia, can we miss the cyanosis? We can, because if hemoglobin is 5, then our reduced hemoglobin will be less. So the cyanosis can be missed, but this group of patient is severely sick. And sometimes another important question is asked that, is there any cause of tetralogy of Fallot presented with mild cyanosis? Then what is the cause? Number 1, pink top. Number 2, corrected TGA with VSDPS. Number 3, if adult developed with adequate collaterals. If collaterals develops adequate, then the oxygenation will happen in the lung and the patient will have mild cyanosis. So what is the cause of this pink top? This is also very frequently asked question. Why pink top? Because severity, RVOT obstruction, we are getting 70, 80, 90, but why there is pink? Means cyanosis is less. Because there is favorable streaming of RV blood to the PA. If there is favorable blood is going to PA, then there will be oxygenation and there will be cyanosis less. So it is not a mild RVOT obstruction. That is commonly mistaken by the student, that it is mild RVOT obstruction, so there is mild cyanosis. This is not that. Flow is increasing, flow is growing to the lung, so oxygenation is good and cyanosis is mild. And now cyanotic spell, it is also often sometimes asked that it usually present in the 6.2 year in the early morning. So what is the mechanism of this spell? If there is infundibular spasm where the catecholamine release leads to increased contractility and the infundibular narrowing, it can be happened by paroxysmal hyperapnea, which increase the venous return and more right to left shunt. In mechanoreceptor in RV get activated where the infundibular spasm and right to left shunt. If the vulnerable respiratory center, it usually happens in the infant group where the respiratory center is not developed. That also causes the cyanotic spell. And sometimes arrhythmia also can predispose this cyanotic spell. So why the cyanotic spell, if not present in earlier life, it's present in the later life? Why? The child learns to squat by habit as soon as he feels breathlessness. এটার মানে হচ্ছে যখন সে শ্বাসকষ্ট ওঠা শুরু করেছে সেই সময় সে তার মধ্যে এটা অ্যাডপ্ট করে ফেলে যে কিভাবে আমাকে এটা করলে স্পেল কমবে। And the respiratory center mature by this age and development of the collateral and fibrosis of the infundibular, which prevent the developing of the spasm. This is a very important slide that you have to tell. Now, what is squatting? This increases the systemic vascular resistance. How it happens? By kinking the major arterial circulation in presence of fixed pulmonary outflow obstruction. যখন এখানে femoral artery তে pressure দেয় তখন systemic vascular resistance increase করে তখন right to left shunt কমে যায়. And there is decreased right to left shunt and more RV blood to the PA. And increased oxygenated blood to the LV, decreased carbon dioxide, decreased stimulation of the respiratory center, and decreased hyperventilation and decreased systemic venous return, all causes decreased right to left shunt. So this way helps to relieve the cyanotic spell. And this is the when a mother slept knee elbow position. In this knee elbow position, we are pressing the femoral artery. Sometimes lying down, sometimes leg crossing adult patients, sometimes sitting down underneath the legs. These all are equivalent to our squatting. So why the onset, or if we ask that why the increase of cyanosis of these adult patients, it is due to increase the RVOT obstruction, muscle hypertrophy, fibrosis, increased demand of the growing child because the activity increase, and reduction of the pulmonary blood flow. We know there is a PDA which is supplying the PA, or NAPCA which is supplying. If there is closure of these two, it can cause reduced pulmonary blood flow, so cyanosis will be increased. So management of the cyanotic spell, we have learned, and we have to know what are the things we have to do and how it acts. So we give position, morphine, oxygen, propranolol, sodium. If all fail, then we give vasoconstrictor like phenylephrine. We can give ketamine, and we can give general anesthesia. If all fail, we have to take the patient emergency basis, do the systemic to pulmonary arterial shunt. So after the spew history, also we have to take that shortness of breath is present or not, and fatigue present. Mostly the mothers and this group of child is from my baby is very calm and quiet because he resists himself, because due to activity the oxygen demand increases cyanosis demand. So he compromised by himself by doing not any activity. And also hyperviscosity syndrome, that is nicely described here. The patient will come with the presentation with headache, dizziness, venous thrombosis feature, cerebrovascular accident, renal abscess. So these are the feature of hyperviscosity. And this is the feature that these patients usually growth normally. But in case of Eisenmenger, the growth failure is there. So this is a physical finding. This is very important. JBP that we have already discussed, that usually normal, but in case of adult, RV pressure increase, RV interstitial pressure increase, so we might get the A wave. And the precordium will be silent, and what sir was telling that hyperdynamic is, it also indicate that Eisenmenger. So in this case, precordium is quiet. And that is also discussed that RV type apex, and there is no feature of congestive heart failure, and there is no parasternal pulsation and heave. This is commonly asked. Why this parasternal pulsation and heave? Once again, if we see the RV, it just lies beneath our sternum. When there is RV hypertrophy, we get the pulsation and subepigastric pulsation. But why we don't get in top? Because there is a large VSD, unrestricted VSD. There is equalization of the pressure. So we don't get this parasternal pulsation or heave. So this is the explanation of absent parasternal pulsation. And systolic thrill is also uncommon. And second heart sound, that is sir told that it is single, that aortic component we heard, and P2 component is almost absent. And ejection systolic murmur, it is inversely proportionate to the cyanosis, and where we will get at the level of the stenosis. It can be found in the pulmonary area, it can be found in the subinfundibular area, so we have to identify it. And very important thing, that if sometimes there is severity of murmur, we are not getting. Hyperviscosity is a condition where we can get less murmur. And anemia is another condition where we get more murmur. So this is the physiological condition where murmur intensity can be verified. And here we will not get the S3 and S4. So sometimes it is asked, if can you get any other murmur, that our student missed, that he has not checked the back of the chest. Continuous murmur. Why we will get, for one thing, that operated child, if BT shunt is there, we will get the murmur of the BT shunt. And if the pulmonary artery VSD collateral develops, then we will get murmur of the collateral. And these are the collaterals in different way, different side we can get. And top with PDA, we can get that murmur. Any congenital heart disease with decreased pulmonary flow with PDA we can get. And pulmonary arteriovenous fistula, that also we get a continuous murmur. So how to differentiate a tetralogy of fellow from the Eisenmenger system? There will be deep cyanosis. In our case, that happened. But in Eisenmenger, we have to take the history of, is there feeding difficulty initially is present or not, failure to thrive is present or not, recurrent LRTI is present or not, and they will give that there are respiratory infection, but now it is improving. That means pulmonary obstruction is getting developed, and now the patient is improved. So we have to think that. And cyanotic spell is present in top, and squatting history that our patient has. Hemoptysis also present in both the cases, but more marked in the Eisenmenger group. And due to RV hypertrophy, angina, pain, and palpitation we get in Eisenmenger. And syncope that we discussed, both the case have, but more marked in Eisenmenger. And onset of the cyanosis is variable, but what happened in Eisenmenger, the cyanosis will appear lately. This is the very important feature. And the examination finding, we will get a deep cyanosis, silent precordium. But here the variable cyanosis and apex beat in normal side. And there is no cardiomegaly in both cases. And what is the P2 level? Here is hypertensive PA, P2 will be loud. But here single heart sound, P2 will be soft. And this is the very important point. We never get thrill in the Eisenmenger syndrome, but sometime in pink top where the flow is more, we may get, but usually we don't get the thrill. And ejection systolic murmur, which is proportionate to cyanosis. And Eisenmenger, what happens? There is large shunt, we don't get any murmur. If we get any murmur, that is due to hypertensive PA, there is pulmonary regurgitation, and we get the end-diastolic murmur. And in top, we get the continuous murmur for the PDA and MAPCA. And in chest X-ray, we get no cardiomegaly. Pulmonary conus will be empty. And here the pulmonary normal or borderline cardiomegaly and central plethora that I will show. So this is also discussed where the top with heart failure can develop. These are the conditions where heart failure can, and why we already discussed. So what is the nature of history? That is also discussed. This is very important, that survival rate 1 year at 65, around 5 year 50%, at 10 year 23% survive, and 4% at 15 years. So you are getting these only 4%. And top-like condition that I have mentioned, DRV, single ventricle, their outcome is very poor. So now how to identify the ECG? We will get right axis, P tall, and RVH. There is a difference in infant and adult, that sometimes we get the strain pattern in adult group, but infant sometimes there is no strain pattern, but RVH is there. And one thing that is asked to asked by that sudden transition or early transition. Why this happened? We know that V2 is placed here over the RVOT, where it is getting the LV forces flow. So the early transition comes in case of tetralogy of Fallot. Usually we get V3, V4, this transition, but in a top case, we get this unrestricted large VSD, we get this sudden or early transition. And this is another important thing, how a ECG can tell that this is a severe top. Along with the right axis, tall P, RVH, if we see the V6, we found that LV forces is small. It means my LALV is small. Why LALV is small? Because with the collateral or PA flow is reduced, LA return will become, LV will develop less. So in ECG, we will get small LV forces. So ECG can tell us what is the severity of the disease also. And this is the top, first one, the pulmonary bay, pulmonary conus is empty, RV type apex, RA is dilated, and oligemic lung field. And in Eisenmenger, the pulmonary conus is full, and cardiomegaly now it is borderline or normal shape, and the proximal pulmonary conus is, here proximal portion is obvious, but peripheral pruning is present. And this is a question that is asked, that what is the shape? How can we identify? The egg shape is found in TGA with narrow pedicle. And this is the Epstein anomaly with large box shape cardiomegaly. And this is the TAPVC. This is the figure of 8 or snowman sign. This right-sided border is formed by the SVC, and right-sided, left-sided border is by the vertical vein. So this figure of 8 helps us to diagnose a case of TAPVC. So how, after this all investigation, how we will assess in echo, we have to give some clue to the surgeon that where the pulmonary stenosis level is present. What is the size of the pulmonary annulus? What is the size of the RPA and LPA size? If it is hypoplastic, we have to think something. If it is good size, we have to think something. Where the location of the VSD? Is there additional VSD is present or not? Is it very important for a case of top? RV function, we heard that RV function can be compromised, so have to see. LV side and function, we have to biventricular repair we can do or not. LV size is adequate for biventricular repair is not, so LV size has to be seen in echo. And the coronary anatomy that we have discussed, if LAD crossing RVOT, we can go through RVOT. We have to tell the surgeon that LAD crossing RVOT, so he can use conduit. And about the PDM MAPCA also, sometimes in echo, if window is good, we can identify, otherwise in CT or cardiac cath can delineate this. So assessment for suitability of the total correction. During surgery, we have to give this data to the surgeon. We take the RP-LPA diameter and divide with the descending thoracic aorta. This is the McBoon ratio. If it is 0.8, we will do total correction. And Nakata index by the RPA-LPA cross-sectional area, divide by BSA. If it is more than 150, we can go for total correction. And MB-TB ratio. For the all surgeon, we have to give the annulus size of the mitral valve and tricuspid valve to see the adequacy of the valve. If it is more than 65%, then we can go total correction. And Z-score of the PA, it is adequate or not. If it is less than -2 standard deviation, the PA size is less. So in BT shunt, we have to do, if adequate PA size grow, then we can go for total correction. And what are the palliative shunt? That is also asked. This is the valvulotoxic shunt that Sir was telling. This is the classic shunt where the subclavian is connected with the corresponding pulmonary artery and modified when there is Goretox conduit is used. This is called modified valvulotoxic shunt. There are other shunt also, Waterstone and Waterstone and Port shunt. And there is another central shunt, direct connection with the aorta and PA. And sometimes palliative transannular patch is given. So corrective surgery, that is also asked, that we do VSD repair and we relieve the pulmonary stenosis by resection of the RVOT muscle, pulmonary valve commissurotomy done or valvectomy done, pericardial patch augmentation that already discussed by our faculty member, and transannular patch augmentation of RVOT, MPA, if they are with reconstruction of the pulmonary valve. If PA is hypoplastic, that has to be also done, PA plasty. So another important I just one slide this, pregnancy in cyanotic heart disease. That patient though undergo one delivery, but if he comes in this age, if he wants to pregnancy, what is the recommendation for us? Pregnancy is not recommended in patient with unrepaired top. 40 to 50% there is chance of death during pregnancy, delivery, and fetal also. There is premature delivery, fetal death, intrauterine cure, and after delivery. So we have to convince the patient. And after corrective surgery, pregnancy is allowed if no severe hemodynamic abnormalities, if not there, ventricular function is good, no RVOT obstruction, no arrhythmia, we can allow the patient after corrective surgery. And pregnancy is contraindicated in women with Eisenmenger. Severe pulmonary hypertension, no pregnancy. This we have to know. And physical activities, we have to tell if patient is clinically stable in unrepaired case, without clinical symptom of heart failure may be considered participation in only low intensity class 1 sport, like cricket, like those who are not so much activity, low class 1A sports can do. And in repair top may be considered for participation in moderate to high intensity sport. এখানেও আমাকে ventricular function, arrhythmia এগুলো দেখতে হবে. So take home message is systemic approach permit easy hemodynamic classification of cyanotic congenital heart disease. Some finding on examination provide definitive clue to specific congenital heart disease. Surgical repair is the only definitive treatment of TOP. Early total correction is always better for TOP, and closure of defect is detrimental in obstructive pulmonary arterial hypertension in Eisenmenger group. So this is the gift of life, where a surgery can give a better life. Thank you all.